Hey everyone, welcome back to Wrenchie. Today we're going to review another great ride here in Southern California. This is from the city of Ojai heading north on State Road 33. I'm going to rate it on 4 different dimensions. I'm going to rate it on the road, the riding fun factor, the scenery, and the amenities along the way. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you've ridden it, do you agree? Do you disagree? If you haven't ridden it, where have you ridden that's a really great ride that we should all be checking out? Leave that in the comments too. Give it a like and subscribe if you already haven't, and let's get on with it. Our journey starts just northwest of Los Angeles in a little town called Ojai, California, which runs through, State Road 33 runs through it. You want to start here at the Shell gas station because it's your last chance for gas for the next 75 to 100 miles. After leaving the gas station, you'll head north to your one and only stop sign along the route. That is our only traffic control. And you'll go for about another 7 miles or so until you come really to the beginning of the canyon, right about here, where it turns into some great sweepers and wonderful stretches, and the scenery just really starts to open up. This stretch of State Road 33 is about 35 miles long. It follows the Matilla Canyon past the easternmost extremity of the San Ynez Mountains. It's in the Los Padres National Forest, and it passes over the Traverse Ranges at its peak at Pine Mountain Summit. And be advised that this route starts in Ojai, which is a great little town, but quickly becomes nowhere. You're out on your own with very little traffic, with very little amenities, if any, along the way. 35 miles later, it ends in Maricopa, which is really close to nowhere and has really nothing there. So the next town you could really stop at is Frazier Park, which is probably another 35 to 40 miles away. So it's about 75 miles before you find civilization again. At this point, we just started heading up the hill. We started out around 800 or so feet, and now we're up about 1,500, and we'll be heading on up to almost 5,200 feet. There are 3 tunnels along this route. Here's the first one that's paralleling Matilla Creek, that's off to our right. There are 2 more right before we get to Wheeler Gorge. That's just a couple miles ahead. You can see the landscape now really starting to open up, where you get a view of the upper elevation, the pine forest, which we will be going through. And here's those other 2 tunnels I mentioned. On the other side is Wheeler Gorge, which you'll find campgrounds, as well as climbers going up some sheer face here off to the left. You can see them occasionally parked up here on the left-hand side. There are many great hiking trails and landmarks to check out, places with names like Chairman's Cave and Giant Face and plenty of campgrounds, although most of them are wilderness and with very little amenities. It also boasts the smallest U.S. post office, the Wheeler Springs area. As we start climbing in elevation, it starts to get a little bit twistier and more scenic. Right here, we've just crossed the 2,000 foot mark. I'm going to speed up the progress here so that we can get through this in a reasonable amount of time. Ran into some construction here, went down to a single lane. Apparently there was a landslide not too long ago and took out half the road. So this is our only obstruction on this whole trip, so that was pretty good. The road is typically very lightly traveled, but occasionally you do get the random car that you need to go around, and in this case the construction trucks were there. But there's so little traffic that passing is never an issue. Almost. Wave hi to your fellow rider. This is a cool little section. It goes around this big bend and then heads up the other side of this valley onto the ridge line, and then doubles back on itself and drops down into the valley on the other side of a ridge. It's a fun little run. It's a big 180-degree turn at the top that goes to that pass, and you come out on the other side onto into another valley. Cool little section here. And when I say the top, this is not the top of the mountain. We are pretty high up, and you do want to be careful here because there's a lot of sections that don't have guardrail, like coming up here. And if you go over the edge, you will be able to think about your mistake for a long time before you hit. This section here, the wildflowers and those shrubs on the side are like honey sweet smelling, and the whole area is just pungent with that fragrance. It's pretty remarkable. Starting to head downhill a little bit to a place called Sespe Gorge. I think that's the name, Sespe? Yeah. And it flattens out there at the bottom a bit, and then we'll wind up starting to climb back up to the summit from there. Here at the bottom of the gorge, it starts to get really rocky and lots of landslides here, so you got to be cautious around it. You see some huge boulders over there on the right side that have slid down the hill. we'll get to the bottom here, which is still, I think, at 3,500 feet. And there's a little general store. I've never stopped there, but there's always somebody parked there. This is really the base where you start to climb up to the summit from here. It goes up this up the ridge line and across the other side of the mountain to the desert. Alright, we are heading up the mountain, and we are now in the last set of switchbacks here. We'll be entering the one on the right from the bottom right of the screen, hanging that hard left and then a hard right, and winding up there after the twisties at the bottom at the ranger station. And here's that first 180 degree left-hand turn. Just go back down to regular speed here. It's really pretty through here. The views are tremendous. It's really hard to keep your eyes on the road, but this is where you really want to. It gets a little tighter. It is heading downhill. There's a lot of debris on the road that you have to watch out for in some of these blind turns. I'm so busy watching the scenery here that I've fallen quite behind the lead. Let's see if I can do a little catching up. You can see this side of the mountain is a pine forest and quite lush compared to the other side, which was a little bit more scrub. But once we get to the bottom, it will turn into the Sonoran Desert, which is where we live, at least here in Southern California. I mentioned there is you got to watch for falling rock and debris on the side of the mountain. And you might notice my friend up front is sticking his foot out once in a while, like that. What he's doing is he is signaling that there is debris in the road. I didn't see that last one, but I think he's going to do it again here. Yeah, and you can see right there's a rock, and that's what he's just trying to give a heads up. Frankly, he doesn't really need to, but it's very courteous as a lead rider. So this is the end of the run. We got down to the bottom, which is 3,580 feet. We pull off here at the ranger station for a butt break. So this is a good time. Let's check out the ratings and see how we did. My rating scale is going to be based on these 5 balls. The ball on the left, the solid one, is the best, and going to the right, it's going to the least, where the empty one is the worst case. So let's take a look. So I'm going to give State Road 33 a overall rating of great, my best rating. Well, here's why. The road conditions were fantastic. Smooth asphalt, well maintained. 2 lanes, good signage, minimal traffic, and there was no lights or stop signs or anything along the way. Looking at the riding fun factor, just 35 miles of great sweepers, some straightaways, twisties at the beginning and the end, and lots of elevation change in between. Looking at the scenery, I've used a little bit different rating here, just checking if it's got it or if it doesn't. And you can see there's plenty of mountains and canyons and desert views, no rivers, but different types of forests, no farmland to speak of, and some wildlife there if you were paying attention, but nothing major. And supposedly you can see the ocean from the top, but I didn't stop and see it, and maybe you can, maybe you can't, but I said no. As far as amenities, this is kind of a fail. There's no fuel, no food, no restrooms, no shopping, nothing to stop along the way. There is some historical sites like the post office and other old Western things to see there, which is interesting, but other than some camping, which is pretty rustic, and bring your own water, not much in the way of amenities. That said, though, I'm giving that 2 thumbs up and a big fat circle, and that's saying that's a great ride, and I recommend it to anybody who's in the Southern California area. Well, that's it for this ride and this episode. Thanks again for tuning in. Please give it a like and subscribe if you haven't, and leave some comments. Let me know what you think of this ride, and tell us about your rides and your favorite places and what makes them special. Ride safe, keep wrenching. Cheers.